Hello there. You may call me Amfortas, or the poor man's Bruce Willis. I'm not clippered close enough. My minuscule hairs are starting to grow back. Anyways, I tried a new thing yesterday and worked my ass off, thinking that it would make me go to sleep earlier. It did not. I did not go to sleep until like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I just turned the alarm off. It's a Sunday, so I had the alarms. I was going to set the alarm for like 5, and it was already on 6. And I'm like, 6 will work as long as I wake up early, because I want to start waking up earlier. So I did a whole bunch of shit yesterday, and it didn't tire me out like it needed to. And I feel plenty tired now, but yeah, I lifted that scooter up off of the couch because it kept getting in the way when I was opening the closet. And you'd have to see in the other room what that's like. And the seat, God, the seat to it is so damn heavy, and it wasn't connected. But I just like leaned it up against the couch that's standing up. So there's just like a treadmill standing up in the corner against a couch that's standing up against the corner, and then a scooter that's standing up against the couch. And then I wedged the heavy ass 20-pound at least seat. Why it's so heavy, I don't know. In between the couch and the treadmill. And then I have to pack up all my sellable sports cards, so I started to do that and found a box and put some cards in it. And frankly, I don't. I lifted weights, which is the first time I lifted weights in like a long time. And my leg was not cooperative. Um, but yeah, I just did my walking for like around the house, doing housework, various things, picking up various things, rearranging various things. And considering the level of inactivity I had slid into since I hurt myself by almost falling, which I still think is unfair. You know, the lighting was perfect when I had first turned this on, and now it's already changing into imperfect. But let me see something. uh, anyways, but yeah, I looked up some reviews on this place I want to move into, and they're really old reviews from like 2012. The newest review I could find was from 2015, and they loved the place and gave it 5 stars. But none of that's really important. I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, why am I even reading reviews on this place? None of that's important. The only thing that's important is nobody above me, nobody below me, um, no hallway, my own front door, and I can control who I interact with. Because you can't really control who you interact with in a building like this, because you can peek out your peek hole or your peephole in the door, whatever you want to call it, and you can say there's nobody in the hallway, and you can go outside and do something, and then still run into people in the hallway that you don't want to see or that you don't want to interact with. And that used to like change my whole day last summer when I was dealing with the PTSD war vet guy, because you either had to like almost break his arm or chase him away to get rid of him. And then when you're dealing with crazy people, you always have to be careful, because like they say, man, on the street, you don't want to mess with crazy, because they're liable to do any damn thing. I mean, any damn thing. So uh, that's all I need. But I was looking at reviews, and some of the reviews are funny. It's like the one guy was like, that sounded more like a woman to me from the writing, but she was like, the smell of marijuana gives me a headache. And I'm like, I'm like, okay, whatever. She was like, you mean there's people and they're smoking pot in a apartment complex? Unbelievable. But yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do each day is go through my stuff here and start boxing stuff up, and I can use the boxes that the food came in for most of my stuff because it's small. And I've always got a surplus of little boxes, uh, and you know, start packing stuff up and just keep doing that and just be ready for so it's not a big deal uh, when it's time for me to go. Um, I think King Amfortas is from an Arthurian, or however you say that, King Arthur legend. Um, and he had an incurable wound, and he floated around in a boat and was just sad. But this is going way back in the days when I used to learn things before my life got consumed by family issues, drug issues, both mine and people around me, and increasing CRPS issues. I used to like to learn things. But anyways, since CRPS is from an injury where a pain signal gets trapped inside your body, and the pain itself actually does damage to you, um, it's like Amfortas is a good Amfortas is a good analogy for that, because he had an incurable wound and it didn't kill him, and he just floated around in a boat. That's the image I got in my head. I was just sad all the time. So, uh, yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday. And it's like, am I having trouble walking because it hurts so goddamn much to walk, or is it a muscular thing? It's hard for me to tell because, if you got a nail in your foot, you're gonna limp. And yeah, see, I can't get up early enough to go walking and not run into people. And I'm just gonna have to start walking at night, I think, and sneaking out of here at night and sneaking back in here at night because I can't seem to wake up early enough. It seems to be an impossibility. So, as far as like being cautious with the virus floating around, I looked at the latest Ohio statistics, and they were over 10,000 cases statewide, 451 deaths, and 2250, 2,250 odd hospitalizations. And they're talking about opening the state back up slowly on May 1st. They feel like, I think that's a big mistake. See, my idea behind it is like, okay, you got the sickness running around, right? You kind of got to let it play out, you know? Let the sick people either overcome it or die from it or whatever. And, and then you open society back up. And we don't know shit about this virus. And look what happened in China. Like, they had a second outbreak. Even the governor, who here is named DeWine, was like, what it is they're getting a whole bunch of economic pressure. It's all about the DOEG. It's all about the money. It's like they're getting a whole bunch of economic pressure put upon them to open Ohio back up so that people can make their money and businesses can flourish, which is understandable and all, but they're just going to get shut back down again if we have a second outbreak. And Ohio is one of the better states in the United States to be in, as that's, we're fairly populated. 11.7 million people in the state. But we're like toward the top of the list. We might even be at the top of the list as far as containing this whole thing, because we were like the model for preparedness. We still got 10,000 cases confirmed, and God knows how many people walking around, but I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I'm starting not to care. You know, it's like if I get sick, I get sick. You know, what the fuck ever. You know, it's just annoying at this point. Like avoiding people. And this lady's dead meat. If she catches it, she's fucking dead meat. Period. And she's taking no precautions whatsoever. It's like you know, you got a guy in a wheelchair and a guy that's got serious cardiovascular disease problem, and she takes no precautions whatsoever and just goes about her business. But she's actually as high risk as we are because she's over 50. I can hear her up there, and it's a very weird smoker's cough, but it's a hacking smoker's cough. So she's got that and fibromyalgia. But the main thing is the respiratory thing. If she catches it, man, I don't see her surviving. So, you know, it's another reason for me to get out of here. It's like I actually texted the landlord about that and was like, you know, you got irresponsible people. I didn't specify living in this building. You got drunks. And I think I just said drunks and irresponsible people. And you got a hallway. That's a common hallway that I have to share with people that, you know, apparently have a death wish or whatever. But she just, I don't know how many cases are in my county. I didn't look it up, but she's just like business as usual. You know, she hadn't changed her routine at all. It has people coming here and going here and whatnot since I've been out in the living room a little bit more. I've been seeing, like, when my niece pulled up, she was like, "There's all your parking's taken up. There's no place to park." So, you know, they're not really observing the quarantine at all. So it's like, that's all the more reason for me to get out of here. Monday, I don't know how to approach that. You know, I probably just ask for an online application and then talk to the my real estate agent guy. I suppose I shouldn't say even his first name on here, but I already have. I shouldn't have told you that. I already have. There's like 14 people watch these, so who cares? Um, but anyways, it's just you know, it's just a thing I think about. You know. Um, anyways, get the application form. The only thing that I would have, I have no criminal record. I have no evictions or anything like that as far as my rental history, which is, of course, ever since I think I got my first official rental place at 21. And I was renting out for my sister before then and living with her family before she decided to throw me out on the street. That's my story where I come home from the hospital after 38 days and all my shit is piled up in a corner in the living room, and I'm like, that ain't good. But yeah, no conversation, you know, no warning, just all my shit piled up in a corner. She like moved me out of a room that was upstairs, she moved and just piled up all my, literally like in a pile in a corner, but she's, you know, that was her excuse, you know, and like her daughter went around along with it for her treatment of me at that time, where she didn't even have a conversation. She just threw me out of the house after I spent 38 days in the hospital. Well, I was crazy at the time. She took the insanity defense, you know. It's like, why can't I take the insanity defense when I'm actually having a nervous breakdown for my behavior? So in other words, I'm responsible for what I say, even though I'm having a nervous breakdown and crying for the first time in 29 years. And you're not responsible for what you do when you're having some sort of episode or whatever. and throw somebody out of the house and leave them with no place to go after they just come out of the hospital after 38 days. You know, that's when I was in the Cleveland Clinic pain unit, and I had just found out that I had, CRPS. I just found out like a little bit before then, and I went through like procedures that were like too late because you have to catch it early. I went through like things called nerve blocks, where they shoot a ganglion of nerves full of a whole bunch of dope like around your spine. They try to knock it into remission, which was the treatment at the time, which I went through. But yeah, so I don't ever remember getting an apology for that either. And I got apologies for this latest thing, but they were, like I said, the "I'm sorry, but you made me do it" type apologies. You know, I'm sorry, but I told you I didn't have time to listen to you cry. You know, and it's like, I bet you they didn't even have an appointment to go somewhere. If she was said like, "I got to be somewhere at 3," you know, and if it was a hair or nail appointment or something like that, I'd still say you need to cancel that motherfucker, because if somebody doesn't cry that supported you for 29 years and they start crying, it's like a, a monumental event. It's a little bit more important than going and getting Korean, having Korean girls put your feet in a fish pool, have them nibble off your corns. I just had to be creative since I'm running over tired ground, as you know. Um, but anyways, yeah, she was actually sitting in the car outside while her daughter was in the house. Why don't I have a voice anymore? I'm just gonna quit talking. I don't. My voice is always fucked anymore, and I don't know why. I'm always froggy. It's like something happened to my voice. I don't know what that's about. But so, anyways, did a bunch of crap yesterday. Lifted weights for the first time in a while. Had a bad knee. Um, I figured out like, well, I got that second set of barbells. I can start doing some of the trickier exercises where I'm likely to fall over with like lightweight. You know, um, you cannot really do deadlifts with a stretchy band. That kind of doesn't work. So that deadlift motion, that's a bad one for me because my legs are bent weird and I tend to fall over backwards. Which in the living room is not that bad of a thing. You just throw the weights away from you so you don't smash your toes and then you fall on your ass. Which I've done, I don't know, 1,495 times in my life. So what? Um, so yeah, I guess that's what I do tomorrow. Like first thing in the morning, even before that, their office opens at 10. But I can shoot the lady an email asking for an application form, and you know, I looked at the place on Google Maps. Maybe I can put that link up and then you can look at it. I don't know. I don't really care if anybody wants to come and cause me problems. Maybe I shouldn't have that attitude, but I don't care. You already know my name. You can track me down. Don't have any credit for you to ruin. I mean, you're supposed to be careful online, but I don't care. I don't really expect to see 60 anyway. I'm 52, going on 53. So I don't really care. So um, I see a lot of people like use their names on here. They don't even use initials. They just like use their whole names. But I think they're trying to get like fame and fortune from YouTube or like YouTube ads. You know, if you get enough followers, you can get ads. Like there was one guy's video that I watched. He was like, at this point, I'm getting enough viewers and making enough money from doing YouTube videos that I'm thinking about quitting my job. You know, so I guess you can make a lot of money if you put ads up. on your videos. But you can just like, I have ad blocker. I mean, I pay for the YouTube service just so I don't have to put up with ads. But I guess there's ways around that where you don't even have to pay the $13 a month or whatever for YouTube Prime, I think they call it. I don't know. And you can just get like some kind of ad blocker. People used to say you could do it with certain browsers to block out the ads. The funniest things is like when you're listening to an audiobook that's got a bunch of ads into it. And the best example I could think of that is like I was revisiting The Godfather, which is a horribly written book anyway. Good story, horribly written book. But they had an ad like every 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, it was, if you think about it, for a book, that's just ridiculous. So 1 minute there'd be a tense scene where somebody was about to get shot or something, and the next second a happy voice would pop on there trying to sell you toothpaste or something. No, I want to know what happened to Fredo. And what happens to Fredo, man? I don't care about if my teeth are their whitest right now. But anyways, yeah, I don't know what's with the froggy voice. I don't know. And it doesn't feel pleasant to talk either. And no, I only smoked those 2 cigarettes that one day. I just, if I'm not around cigarettes, I don't smoke cigarettes. So even the few times I have had the opportunity to bum cigarettes, I don't bum cigarettes. Everybody in this fucking building smokes. But I don't have anything to do with any of these people, whether they smoke or they don't smoke. So I just smell it all the time coming in through the vents. And sometimes I smell very strong weed coming in through the vents. I don't know. I just have to play it by ear and see. Like, for instance, like, I got the landlord successfully put off until the 1st as far as the rent. So in other words, I didn't pay any rent in April. Now, whether he's going to be expecting me to pay for April and May, or whether I can get this process expedited and have a lease signed, and then before I agree to pay him rent, because I don't get paid till the 3rd. He knows this, so it's really May 3rd when I said we'll talk about it. I said we'll work something out on May 1st. In other words, we'll talk about it on May 1st and then set something up. So, if I can get get them keys in my hand before then, I couldn't give that guy no money, man. That guy I deserve reparations, man. For what I was put through. I was thinking about it yesterday. I was like, my life is fucking ruined by living here. And my dumb ass for not realizing what he was sooner. It took like an actual meth cookhouse opening across the street and watching him deal with that situation. I was buying his bullshit for years when there was crack dealers here about like, what can I do about it? It's like I that opens me up to liability. I just can't go around making accusations. Not only is he calling me a liar, like I can't see with my own eyes that there's people like, smoking crack on the porch, or like, he never told me call the police. It's a police matter. It doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm not responsible for what goes on my property. It's like that crack money's been good. So he again, beating. He deserves a beating. Possible hospitalization. He doesn't, stepping in for some money. I got no conscience about that if I can get away with it. I still think he deserves a beating. I wouldn't want to kill him. Actually, I do want to kill him, but I wouldn't want to kill him because he has a family. But the damage that this place has done to me, I know it's irreparable. I mean, I'm not going to get them teeth back. I would have took better care of myself and in a better frame of mind if I wasn't living in a drug house for off and on for years. and living with uh, all kinds of shit. You know, I seen some shit go down here. You know, I seen they had like a stolen goods. I don't know if you want to call it a ring, but they got busted with stolen goods. And I'm like, those can't be. The cops were carrying out these tubs, and I'm like, they can't. These cannot be tubs of drugs, or they would be like the drug kingpins of Ohio. I mean, it's too big. So I found out later it was stolen goods. But I was watching these two guys get arrested that were associated with the hood people, and a bunch of stuff get carried out of there, and two guys come out and zip tied with the handcuffs behind the back, and living under those situations and dealing with don't give a fuck people and drug dealers. And meanwhile, I got a fragile health thing where I can't afford depression. I have to. It's a type of CRPS is the type of thing where you have to stay on it. You have to watch your diet. You have to keep your stress down. You have to exercise. You have to keep moving. You can't. You have to be focused. You can't have your family fucking with you. You can't have your living circumstances fucking with you. It's like going in the ring against Mike Tyson. You have to concentrate on what is in front of you, and that is dealing with the CRPS and staying on top of it. And I was always really good at that until I got here. It's like when I first moved in here, like I've said before, I was able to pedal a bicycle, not an electric bike, just a bicycle, downhill, carry groceries uphill on the bicycle, and like 30, 40 pounds of groceries. I was able to do that. That's the kind of shape that I was in. And then I just slowly deteriorated once I moved in here. And it was because I stopped giving a fuck. And it was, my parents' death. Of course, you're going to go through some things if both your parents die in the same year, like they did in 2015. And I just had different expectations, from the guy I grew up with. I didn't think that he was that far into being a shiftless dopehead, So I was like, can't beat him, join him. So I started smoking more pot and smoking more in general. But I preferred cigars. Cigarettes, they're just too quick. They're like a quickie. It's like they're just done. Cigar at least lasts a while. So I'd smoke cigars, which I sound like I smoked a bunch of cigars last night. Which I heard that Clint Eastwood, for the movie Heartbreak Ridge, the way he accomplished his husky voice was he said, well, I just didn't sleep a lot and smoked a lot of cigars the night before. But I don't exactly remember what he sounded like, so I can't do an imitation of it. Plus, my voice is deeper than his. So it probably wouldn't work anyway. And I don't do impressions, which has to do with my ears, I think. And not practicing those sort of things, and being raised in a repressed environment. I didn't have my own room for I don't remember when I had my own room, but what happened is my parents moved into a 3-bedroom house and had 7 kids. No, let's see, upstairs. Yeah, 3-bedroom. They moved into a 3-bedroom house and had 7 kids. So they had their bedroom, and they had the boys' bedroom and the girls' bedroom. And, sometime around there that dissolved. The boys' bedroom, girls' bedroom thing dissolved. And the one room was just a pile of junk. And I remember sleeping on top of a pile of junk on like a little tiny small mattress in one room. And it wasn't really my room. My mom hung out in there, so my dad would hang out in the other room because of issues. I think they stopped sleeping in the same room for a while, so I was sleeping on the couch. I was a couch dweller growing up. I remember mostly sleeping on the couch, and as a little kid sleeping on the floor in front of the TV with my feet nestled up against the register in the wintertime. I'd also do this thing, which I don't think my dad approved of, but I did it anyway, which was take a sheet and throw it over top of the register and make a bubble from the hot air, and then hide in it, and then just tuck my head out and watch TV and lay on the floor. I remember doing that as a kid. And but yeah, I don't remember. I think I didn't have my first room until I moved out. I didn't have my own room until I moved out when I was 20. Then I had my own room at my sister's house before she threw me out, and then I moved into a place with my brother-in-law, who me and him were quits when I was 20 to 21, and then that didn't last very long at all because was a worthless shitbag then. He's a worthless shitbag now. It's just, it's your brother, so you kind of wait for him to change. And yeah, foster brother, same thing. You wait for them to change, and you think that things will turn around and they'll suddenly grow morals and ethical behavior. And no, they'll just continue to be a sponge and a leech and take your money and shit. But anyways, the point is like I don't really remember having my own room. I'm trying to. I think the girls had the upstairs bedroom when I was wee little, and I think maybe me and my brother. No, that was at somebody else's house after I almost drowned in a swimming pool. See, I don't remember having my own room. I remember sleeping on the couch, having no privacy. So like, I had like jerk off in the bathroom. I remember that. Didn't have a bedroom to jerk off in. And then like, okay, now I remember like when I got older and my sisters moved out from the upstairs. I'm sorry about my voice. I came up with this idea of like, why don't we clean up the upstairs so we can have our own room? Because at that point, there was still a sister living in the house. That's my younger sister. My two older sisters had moved out, but she had her own room, and we didn't. And I'm like, why don't we just clean out the upstairs? And it was like cleaning out the Aegean stables. It was a Herculean feat because like they had like it looked like they took a snow shovel and made a walkway through the garbage. It was just trash piled everywhere. It was ridiculous. And it took forever to clean, and it was like excavation, like you're going back through time as you pick through the layers of junk, and you're like, oh, this is from like 1980. This is from 77. Oh, there's an old album from like 1973. When you start to get like, it was like excavation. And then it was my idea to clean it out, and then we cleaned it out, and that was the upstairs bedroom. And then later on, when I had let's see which surgery was that. Oh, when I was 18 and still stuck living there, uh, my brother and my foster brother used to live up there, and then my foster brother moved out, and my brother had the place to himself, and then I couldn't walk up steps for a while, but then I learned how to walk up steps, and then he like kicked me out of the place that I was the guy who had the idea to clean out and did most of the work cleaning out, and I was like, whatever. You want it, you can have it. And he resides there till this day, so he chose his bed, and yeah, and laid in it. The upshot, I could not dream of living in that house and with those memories. I don't know how you would feel about living in your parents' house, but for me, I couldn't do it. I'd kill myself if that was my only option. I'd kill myself, definitely. No doubt about it. And my brother is funny. He's like, he did a preemptive strike against me, and he said, "Just so you know, man, now that I got the place to myself after the folks died," he was like, "Ain't nobody getting in here." And I'm like, sarcastically said, "Yeah, that's my dream, to move in back to my folks' house with my brother and his big giant dog. That is what I've been working towards my whole life." I said back to him sarcastically because not only is that rude, never would enter my mind to do it, but it's just suppose I had no place to go. you know, suppose like something catastrophic happened, like the place I was living at burned down. You're gonna make me spring for a motel? You're like, you're not getting in back in here. But no, I'll take your food and shit. Because it was around his birthday, and he was describing like this person gave me $25, and I said, "What'd you get for your birthday?" And he was like, "This person gave me $25. This person gave me a $50 gift certificate for eBay and this and this." And I said, "You realize that food that I gave you is worth a whole lot more probably than what all those people's gifts are combined." Because I don't know why I said that, but it's kind of a douchey thing to say. But it's like I didn't just give him the old Meals on Wheels. I gave him some of the new food. I gave him some of my food. I gave him some canned goods. I gave him a whole bunch of stuff because his animal just died and whatnot. And his buddy, and I forgot his birthday. I had a good excuse, which was the day of his birthday. I was recovering from not falling, because not falling turned out to be way worse than falling. I probably should have just fell. I mean, maybe I did the right thing. My instincts told me that, like, don't fall backwards. You'll hit your head or you'll hit your back on something and get all fucked up. But I might have been better off just falling and cracking my head or something. I can take punches and shit to the head. So that's why I would tell that when I don't know who I was talking to about the war vet guy, but he would just always threaten me. I'd be like, just shut up. Just don't hit me in the glasses. And aim for the jaw and be accurate. And I was like, I can take shots to the face. I said, you're not going to knock me out. It's not going to happen. So yeah, I hurt myself worse by not falling than falling. But yeah, I'm going to start, like today I'll lift weights again and just not pour it on. But I laid off from lifting weights for quite some time. I can still do 25-pound dumbbells. It's just some of the exercises I'm going to do with lighter weights that are involve balance. You know, last thing I need is to break my foot. I need to get out of here, concentrate on moving. So, anyways, I guess I'm about done with my daily perusal of my life. And I did get a text from CVS that it said ME, which is the first two letters of metoprolol. I should look at that text again. But I don't. Some kind of prescription came in because I had called about my prescriptions and not getting my prescriptions on Friday, and then Saturday I got a text saying that my prescriptions came in. So I don't know if the pharmacy is open today on a Sunday, but I can call tomorrow. I can call the pharmacy and say, you got any prescriptions for me? And they can tell me whether I got the Xarelto or not. And then, like, I don't expect to get the Xarelto, though. That would be like, that would be a big relief to get that, because I don't really know. I'd have to actually look up the doctor's name. I don't have the bottle because my aid worker was in a funk. Okay, I know she's an honest person, and I thought about like tipping her before, but I knew she wouldn't take it. But she stiffed me for $10, and she took $10 off me, which I don't care. But what I do care about is, like, she left the fucking bottle with the Xarelto thing with the doctor's name on it. But I can still look it up on CVS.com and find that doctor's name. But what I would have to do is, like, and they wouldn't do it anyway. It'd be a total waste of time. But I could look up the doctor's name, find out where their offices is, contact the doctor's people, tell them I need a refill on the medication. They'll be like, who are you? And you know how doctors work. They're like, well, if we haven't seen you within so many months, we're not going to prescribe anything for you. We need to see you. That could be like COVID, but it sounds to me like a whole bunch of effort put out, fishing down an empty well, which is probably a mixed metaphor, but I don't care. Um, so yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about that except for just roll with it and go back to having not thinned blood or taking aspirin every day. Because I told them I took aspirin every day, and they just laughed at me. They're like, "That's not going to do it." And it's like, that's kind of funny because I've actually been prescribed baby aspirin to thin my blood, you know. But I think they just wanted to make some money and keep me in the hospital because, like, medicine's a racket, just like war. It's not in their interest to keep you well and to keep you healthy. And those hospital stays, man. Once I got a bill in 1986 that said that they charged me $2 a pill for regular Tylenol. So they pat the fuck out of them bills. They soaked those insurance companies. I'm like, wait a minute. You're telling me I asked for Tylenol for a headache or something? I don't know what I asked for it for, but I remember it was Tylenol and it was $2 a pill. Like, are you fucking shitting me? You can get a whole bottle of Tylenol back then for like $3. Um, the other thing about the modern world that older folks remember that younger folks don't is like you used to be able to get your shit and open it and get to it right away and not break your fingernails trying to peel off these safety things. That all started because somebody started poisoning Tylenol. What years that was, I don't know, but that's very annoying. Everything that's considered consumable, even freaking sex lube, has like that safety thing on it, like you're gonna eat it. Well, I assume like in certain cases you may, if you're lucky enough to have a partner that may involve something. Let's not go there. But like those little irritating things, I don't know how you feel about them, but the kids, of course, take them for granted that they gotta like pry open these fucking things with their fingernails. I got weak fingernails, so a lot of times I have to take like a fork or a knife and stab into it and pry it open to get into my ketchup or whatever. But it didn't used to be that way. It's a further erosion of societal trust and the decay of mankind in general. Um, that started because of the Tylenol poisoner. And I don't think I need to fact check that. Because I remember when that happened, I was like, that is the weirdest form of vandalism ever. Why would anybody want to, why would anybody want to kill strangers? That's how we used to think back in the day before humanity began to erode into what it is now. It's like, it didn't make no sense to me. It's like, why would you want to kill somebody? I can understand killing people. There's plenty of people that I knew that I'd like to kill, but why would you want to kill strangers? And then nowadays it's like, well, the COVID thing has at least shut down the number of school shootings, but nowadays it's like, oh yeah, there's lots of people that would just shoot up places, and then you hear about the mass shootings and stuff. But like you had your serial killers, and the first one to really like put serial killing on the map was Ted Bundy, of course. But you had these like random wackos that went around, like the sexual killers that went around killing people because that's what got them off. They were just random weirdos. But now you got these people that it's not part of like some sexual fetish. They just go and kill a bunch of people because they're like upset, frustrated with life, or whatever fucking crazy reason they have. And then you even had the Columbine shootings, where it was just kids killing kids, and man, it's just innocence lost. Which is, I should know that, is that Milton that wrote that book? I don't know. I should know that. But, yeah, the world has just changed. And for people used to talk about when you're young, even you'd hear about like older people talking about the good old days and shit like that. And it's like now that I'm doing it, I can back it up. I can actually back it up with facts that things were better back then. You know, the only thing that's better now is the freaking technology, and you can get a boner if you have impotence problems now, because they come out with actual all the thousands of years that mankind has searched for a male aphrodisiac. They finally figured it out. Pfizer accidentally figured it out, and how did they figure it out? I'm sure you know this. Is Viagra dilates blood vessels, so it started out as a heart medication, and now it turns out if they don't want to prescribe Viagra for you if you have a heart condition. But it started out like, we can make something that'll dilate blood vessels and improve circulation around your heart. That's what Viagra started out as. But now, you can get like Viagra over the internet, but I couldn't do it if I wanted to. I've never taken Viagra, but you know, you can get it over the internet, but your doctor, you gotta have like they won't give it to you if you have a heart condition. So it started out as a heart medication and turned into a medication that they don't want you to take if you have a bad one. So that's just kind of ironic. But anyways, so those are some of the things that have improved. Is obviously technology that allows me to blather on like about random, uh, just random things to strangers, and video game technology, movies. I would say they really haven't gotten better. They've gotten smarter. They used to like talk down to the audience more back in the day, so movies have gotten smarter, but they make plenty of stupid, pointless movies that rely on special effects instead of story. Um, as far as books, I don't read modern literature, so I don't know if that's improved. But you got technology improvements. Cars are hard to work on nowadays. Um, Computers can do amazing things. You can shop at home. It used to be like, you can find stuff like entertainment stuff that would only be a memory, a vague memory. You can find it. You can find movies or entertainment that's obscure and whatnot because of the internet. So you got the internet, you got computers, you got uh, giving the audience a little more credit for being intelligent. Because he used to really talk down to the audience, and they still made good movies and stuff. But they would really talk down to the audience, and treat you like an idiot. The disappearance of the laugh track, also a good thing. Um, so there's some things that are better, but mostly it doesn't outweigh like mass shootings and having to pry up things off of your ketchup because somebody might have stuck a syringe in there and filled it full of cyanide, and the general climate of fear and this weird political environment that we live in now, and the fact that as a kid, you're like a little tiny kid. I never thought about being kidnapped and sodomized as a little kid when I was out walking around. I just I just went about my business, and we would stay out after dark and have adventures and be off on our own and be kids and develop as human beings in that way and play outside and stuff. And now, like, parents are afraid to let kids out of their sight because of people kidnapping and raping and killing them and whatnot. So, uh, yeah, that's like, so on the scales, I would say new times, old times, Yeah, old times. Better. And the reason why people say that when they get older usually is because getting old sucks, and you're more, at the very least, you're more removed from reality. It's more of an immersive experience when you're young. It's like you're in the moment more, and you know everything's exciting and fresh and new, and it was just, and plus memory has that thing it does to trick you into continued survival, to make things seem better than they were. I'm sure I can think of maybe a phrase for that. I don't know. Your mind puts Vaseline on the lens of memory, and you do not see all the flaws. Yeah. Uh, so it's like the Sex in the City lens. I don't know if you remember that, but they were talking about how there was one. I don't watch that show, but I remember that hearing the story and laughing about it. That there was a character on Sex in the City that had like specialized blurring and stuff done to her face because she wasn't aging well. And I think she played like the most promiscuous person on the show. And so yeah, we look at the past through the Sex in the City lens a lot of times, where we don't see the flaws and stuff, and it's a trick of memory. The other stuff I was talking about is just fact. But the internet allows people like me. I have no idea why anybody would be a voluntary shut-in. This is fucking weird to me because I was an outdoorsman. I liked adventure. I have plenty of stories that illustrate that. I like to be outside. I like to do things. I would like to get into shit and not sit in my house. So I have no idea why people would do that voluntarily. But if you happen to be crippled up, if you happen to be old, the computer and the internet is a wonderful thing, you know. So, uh, but why people would want to sit in an office and fuck around on the internet and make random comments about shit and not talk to each other. It's almost weird. I'd be like looking around and there's all these people in their individual worlds, and it's like you have people sitting next to you and you're just like talking, it's like, why aren't you like here in the moment, living your life? And it's like, that's why when I go to doctor's appointments and stuff, I always like try to find somebody to talk to, because it's just like, well, why can't we acknowledge that we're here in the same room and say we're going to the dentist? We're going to go through something pretty soon. Why do you have to be like plugged into some kind of matrix? And, it's like, why not talk to the other guy and like find out something about him? Or at least practice your conversation skills. And, you know, so I find that weird. I find that the fact that the ability to talk to people anywhere in the world has made people more isolated. That's a great irony to me from their fellow man. And part of that is because the world has become, at least seems to have become, a much more dangerous place than it used to be. But this is way too much philosophizing for for first waking up, and I think I even have like half a cup of coffee left. Maybe that's my problem, is I'm thinking too much, and that's why I can't go to sleep. Wearing your body out, not enough. You got to wear your mind out too. So I don't get enough intellectual stimulation, perhaps. I still haven't mastered drinking coffee laying in this bed. Yeah, I'm gonna set up my guitar today too and play some guitar. I just carried the. That was part of my physical activity yesterday. Is I got to carry the amp out there, make sure I don't drop it, since I walk like a drunken uh, epileptic sailor, and it's not enough for me to walk like a drunken sailor, which is the traditional phrase. I have to walk like a diseased sailor, and the only thing I could come up with was epilepsy. which I don't know. That doesn't even make any sense in any way, shape, or form, and why talking off the cuff is very difficult, and why interrupting yourself. You should just gloss over. It's like playing a guitar. When you make a mistake on a guitar, you just keep going. So if you say something stupid like walking like a drunken epileptic sailor, you just go with the flow. It's like I'm meant to do that. Anyway, so I'm carrying an amplifier out of here, trying not to drop it. I'm carrying a guitar out of here, trying not to drop it. I actually took my heavy guitar workstation, which you can't see my other hand, but it's like uh, 2.5 foot long and weighs like 20 pounds. I put it in its case and carried that out there carefully. And I have to be worried about dropping and breaking expensive shit if I'm going to be carrying it around. Even my sports cards that I had in a bag in here that I took into the living room and put in a box. I always have to be careful carrying those so I don't fall and break things. I mean, this is about my 50th coffee cup since living here. I actually broke 2 coffee cups at once. I'm probably the only person in the history of mankind to do that when they only have 2 coffee cups at the time. But I had a coffee cup sitting on the counter, and I started to stumble and fall, so I threw the coffee cup, which hit the other coffee cup on the counter, and it knocked it off, and then one coffee cup fell on top of the other coffee cup, and they both broke. And they were cool coffee cups. One of them was my big coffee cup that held a lot, and the other one was the one that said a dog's tail never lies, and had little paw prints all over it. But I broke them both at the same time, so that's, yeah. So that's the kind of skill I have at breaking things when I'm carrying them. So I have to be very, that's part of what I did anyways. It's part of what I'm going to do today is set up my guitar and jam some, and dust off some of my old stuff. I'm not going to try to like take that riff I made and like work on that. I don't really feel like putting the work in, and polish that up and make that into something longer, and figure out the how to pimp it up and put in a power chord structure into the one part of it. That was just like I got this funny thing where like I can demonstrate how weird like music is by like I have a pattern of notes commonly known as a melody, and you can play it one way and it sounds somber and ominous, and you just switch one note and play one note out of order, and it suddenly sounds completely different. That's how music is. It's like you can play the same notes and play them just slightly different or in a different way and come up with something entirely different, which is a fascinating thing. But I was going to like put a little video together just to send that to the real estate agent guy who's also a guitar player and offered to play guitars with me, but hasn't sent me a link because he was like, I'm like, I don't really understand that kind of stuff. I've never Skyped or anything like that. So I'm like, I don't really understand that stuff, but I can still send him like videos of me playing guitar and whatnot. And yeah, I don't really think, I don't really know if he's watching them, or you never know, like with especially professional people, if they're humoring you or not. But he did ask me like, why don't you go to rehab? And like I was like, well, I think I make long videos. Of course, this one's obviously at least 40 minutes by now, so I don't expect anybody to watch the whole video. But it's like kind of explain my deal with benzos, because he asked me, do you take benzos for your back? And it's like essentially that one video where I played Sanford and Son's theme song at the beginning, and I was explaining how I was going through withdrawal, because like and I explained like how it all started, and the reason why I take them is because not taking them equals withdrawal. It's got nothing to do with my back. I think what he maybe meant was, did you start taking them because of your back? Because Valium's a muscle relaxant. But I think I already covered that. And I think I'm bored with myself right now. And so I'm going to go. And yeah, I got kind of headachy. I don't know what that's about. Anyways, tomorrow, it's a Sunday. So tomorrow is when I have things that are important things to do, like figure out if my blood is going to be properly thinned so that if I have a AFib episode, I don't have a stroke, or B, extended hospital stay, which I'm not really afraid of having a stroke. I'm afraid of the extended hospital stay, especially in these COVID times. And then I have to email somebody, I think her name's Elaine or something like that, and ask for an application form, and then call them at 10 o'clock and say, what do you have available as far as the apartments I want to move into. Like I said, I maybe I'll put a link into it that shows the area. I don't know. From I mean, what the hell? What does it matter? If you want to come kill me, come kill me. Like I said, just don't kidnap me and Buffalo Bill me and throw me in a well and you know, say something funny or interesting. Do it now, and put the lotion on your skin. You can kill me if you want to, but please don't kidnap me. Yeah, you can even beat me up if you want to. It's like that's fine. If I say something offensive, I'm fine with that. You can take your chances with that if you want to. I wouldn't. But yeah, just don't kidnap. Don't chloroform me and throw me in a well. That's all I ask. I don't want to be in, like, you already know that I'm claustrophobic. Shit. You wouldn't throw me in a well. You'd put me in a small cage. And then be like, say something funny and I might let you into the bigger cage. You could have like a hamster setup where you could have a small cage and then like a door that you could slide up, and then if I was funny or entertaining, you could like lift up that grate, and then that would allow me to crawl into a bigger cage. It's like yeah, claustrophobia is not good for my creativity though, so you would run into problems if you came up with that plan. That would be my reward, is the bigger cage, where I could stretch out and stuff, but the little cage would be my punishment. And then I'm giving people evil ideas probably. And maybe I should keep maybe I should save this for a novel or something. But anyways, yeah. Or you could keep me in the like a laid out cage where I got like comfort and like access to some form of entertainment, and then as punishment, open up the grates with the hamster tunnel for me to crawl into the smaller cage, and spray me with water, like cold water. So my choice would be to stay in the larger cage and get blasted with cold water, or crawl into the other page. It crawls into the smaller cage, or it gets the hose. I don't know. Having an imagination is not always all it's cracked up to be. But anyways, yeah, I'll put that picture up there and show you how green that area is, because I got houses. I can stand on the porch and hit 6 houses with stones. So this is an apartment complex. I don't think I can hit maybe one house with a stone that's within the area of the apartment houses, and there's a lot of green around there. And Sippo Creek, which is actually I think it should be called Nemasilin Creek actually, but that's actually the creek that runs behind my house. And I looked it up as how far away it is. It's only like 2.3 miles from here via a certain route. On a direct line, it's, the difference in zip code is only one number from here. But that's what it said. It was like 2.3 miles away. But, I'll take my chances and go ahead and send that up if you want to look at it. I mean, it should be just a picture. And my yeah, I have to make sure I don't send you my address by mistake, even though I'm not going to be living here. Because I'm really not made for. I'm far too innocent and sweet to be made for this modern age, full of tricky ketchup bottle opening things and uh, credit credit card theft and identity theft and phishing with PH. As far as like trying to get information off of you, I have not offered any money to Nairobi Kings over the internet or anything like that. So I'm not quite that at that level of sweet and innocent and naive. But yeah, the dark heart of man uh, sometimes mystifies me. Like when I was a kid, why would you want to kill someone you don't even know? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, don't you have to be like pissed off at somebody, you know? Like when Brett Gaff in school, I always wanted to kill him, but I could only beat the shit out of him because you aren't allowed to kill people. And I only wanted to like beat the shit out of him because he was an asshole and I knew him, and he would do bad shit. So like, why would somebody want to? You know, I could never figure that out. Now that happens like all the time. Um, I wonder, since this COVID thing, if since people have been on lockdown, I haven't checked into that. Of course, it's like has there been any mass shootings? So social distancing. It's like, I guess if you're really determined, they're keeping the gatherings of people down to a minimum, but you could still, like kill 20 or 30 people if you went into a Walmart with a AK-47 and you wore like a mask, for a hospital mask and gloves and stuff, and you took precautions for your own safety. Um, yeah, I just wondered, say this COVID thing goes on for a long time. If a side benefit of social distancing and the COVID virus is that we won't have to hear about like 19, 20 people getting killed for no reason by strangers, or somebody going into a synagogue and shooting it up, or a Batman movie. And as the dog takes, I'll let the dog talk me out. Oh, you're gonna fail me now?